What's up, gamers? I'm your host Anna Aiden, and we are here collected together to watch PMPL Pakistan 2023 spring season. This is huge, and with me on desk is a very fresh face, Fritz. Fritz, how are you feeling about this one?
Oh, I'm super excited, Han. I'm super excited to see this region for the very first time. From what I've heard, a very aggressive region. Hey, count me in for all of those Miramar games, for all of those Erangel games, because I love the fast-paced regions, and Pakistan being one of those such regions, I'd love to see these games. I'm super excited, Hana. I'd definitely like to ask you, what are your expectations from Pakistan?
Well, I'm expecting definitely a very good gameplay coming in from these teams because one, they are
Okay.
polished. Two, they have already seasoned themselves in the last,
Mm-hmm.
PMPL PK, which was in fall of 2022, and they
Yep.
have come up very, very clearly, polished and prepared for the new matches. And we'll just take a great look at the overall schedule because we do want to know where these teams are going to be clashing with each other, and that is where we get to know how all of these teams are going to be stacking.
Oh, it's a 5 day week, Ahana. We'll see this action 5 days a week, so it is going to be very interesting to see. Plus, there is a the similar pattern is being followed as per the previous PMPL as well. So there will be that
Absolutely.
bonus match as well. Everything will be showed to you in just a few seconds. So let's jump into overall schedule. Let's see how these games are going to be played. Because again, Pakistan, a very aggressive region. I'd love to see some Sanhok action as well. I'm not sure if it is present or not. We'll have to wait and watch. But yeah, 21st, 22nd, this is going to be the week one. Then we will have the league stage for week one. Similarly for week two as well, and the teams qualifying, the top 16 teams will be qualified for the grand finals that will be held on 7th, 8th, and 9th of April.
Absolutely, and these teams are gonna have to be very, very prepared because on the 26th of March and the 2nd of April, both these days we have bonus matches played on the map of
Oh,
Bikindi, which is gonna be very, very exciting.
mm-hmm.
And to even qualify for those matches, these teams have to make sure that they come in the top 12 of the week
Mm-hmm.
schedule, like week patterns.
That's true. That's true. And the surprising factor, the surprising fact for me here, Hana, that it is that previously we saw Livik as
Yes,
the other map rather than
yes.
Vikendi. So I think it will be a surprise for all of these teams to see Vikendi as the final game for their bonus game. So it is going to be interesting to see who comes out on top in that particular map. But what is the reason this game is being played? A very important factor of that is the total prize pool of $70,000, Hana.
Absolutely, and that is quite a huge amount of money. Like, I can build 10 setups of PCs with that. 10 setups of PCs. And well, considering the fact that we
Okay,
are looking at a game that is played on mobile phones, I mean, every team can afford quite a few with that money.
that is true.
However, the people coming in at the first position will be going in for a $7,000 prize pool, and then it will keep on depreciating according to their ranks, which makes a lot of sense. But yes, all the way to the 16th position, there is still money for you in the game.
Oh, that's true. But you need to come top 16, as you pointed out. That is something
Yes,
all of these teams would be looking forward towards. And more importantly, this makes the league, the final bonus game as well, very important. So we'll have
absolutely.
to keep an eye on that as well. But yeah, let's look at the point structure as well. The bonus point structure, weekly bonus, league bonus, total bonus, and initial point. These are the headers under which the points are going to be awarded.
Absolutely, and these bonus points are going to be really, really important for all of our teams because eventually these bonus points will decide what the teams are that get to play the bonus match at the end of the week. And not only that, the collective bonus points from both the weeks is going to be their starting point for the finals. Like, nothing is left behind. It's not a fresh slate when you start again in the finals. It is going
Mm-hmm.
to be cumulative of everything that you've played so far. So you have to show up every single day with your A game. You cannot lag behind if you want to get your eyes onto that $7,000 prize money.
Oh, that's true. Especially we have just 2 week games, like 2 days of weekly games. So that is something teams will have to be very careful about because sometimes we do see teams needing 1 or 2 early games to get back into the rhythm, get their hands warmed up. But this is
Absolutely.
something you might want to avoid if you
Exactly.
want that insurance policy.
Yeah,
Get the first 5 games in your favor. Have an average of at least 10 points a game. 50 points for 5 games would be enough. Then again,
absolutely.
if you're getting that chicken dinner, you'll get 10 points right off the bat. Plus every elimination is going to earn you a point. So elimination point again becomes a very important factor, especially for the teams ending 9 to 16. If you're able to eliminate 2 teams, you've already got more points than what a team would have secured while coming second. You've got those 8 points if you're able to eliminate those 2 teams. So elimination points, even more than I'd say the top podium finishes, elimination points is something that the teams should focus upon to have a better grip in the overall standing.
Absolutely. And that grip on standing is going to be very, very important for our teams, considering the fact that this is not going to be a fresh slate again. Guys, you have to perform every single day, every single map, and show up like the best team there is. Your preparation needs to be top notch. And just like you mentioned a few minutes ago, Fritz, people generally take some time to, warm up to the
Mhm.
stage, warm up to the other teams, and then start getting into the fights. You don't have time for that for this one. This is gonna be
Exactly.
action packed from the first drop to the last finish. It's like filled with chicken dinners, but that's just the fuel for the next match.
That's true. That's true. I mean, getting a chicken early in the first game and then being eliminated on the 16th position without any frags won't make a lot of sense overall. Yeah, it will be equalized. You will have that buffer once you get a single chicken, but then again, you need to be consistently performing as well because it is a long league. You'll be playing what I think 15 odd games per team, so you really need to be consistent throughout. If you first of all want to make it to the grand finals, and then it's a different deal in the grand finals altogether.
Absolutely. And well, we do have quite a lot of teams joined in with us for this tournament, and we will be seeing them divided into groups. So it's
Mhm.
not that you will be fighting the same teams every single time. There is going to be a 4 team switch, which happens every single time. And
Yes.
that is something you need to be more and more aware of. Like, if I am playing the first match, let's say I'm in Group A and I'm not facing Group E yet, but then go into the second match, the Group E is now a part of this. I have to be very
Mhm.
aware of Group E at that point because, again, once you go into that phase, it just becomes very important to make sure that you are not losing just because you're being surprised by another team that just showed up on spot.
That is true. I mean, you have to be ready for all of the 5 different teams
Absolutely.
in a different group because, as you said, the permutation and combinations are limitless because of
Exactly.
this, and especially on different maps as well. Anna. I mean, on Erangel, sometime you might face that team on the map of Miramar. So the permutations and combinations is completely different. But from what I've heard about this region, they love to take those drop fights. So I don't think so for most of the teams this is going to be a problem. Yeah, obviously, if some team they think that they really have a shot in the final few games, this is something I'm talking about that they have a shot at qualifying, especially the teams being positioned from 16th to 20th. They might want to chicken out from the very first fights because that is something they do not need. They can really play on the position points as well because again the fight is not it's just about of 2-3 points at maximum at max. This is something that I've seen in the previous stats as well. So at that the last 5 games is where I think we might see teams chickening out, not trying to get into those fights early on. But other than that, I mean, day number 1, I'm all up for it. I don't want more than 2-3 teams in the final zone, is what I say, Hannah.
Well, absolutely. But well, once you started mentioning about teams chickening out, I guess I get an
Uh-huh.
idea of why it's called a winner chicken dinner because you just keep
Oh,
hiding and
okay, yeah.
surviving for a really long time
Uh-huh.
in the game, and then you just go ahead and be like, okay, you know what? Now it's about time that I start investing into a
Yes.
few gunfights, and then you have at least 4 finish points, and with that, if you
Hmm.
have the placement points, that's quite a big number for everyone to achieve. Like 14 is a good number if you
Yes.
start with, the chicken game for the chicken dinner.
Especially in the map of Sanhok, I'd like to point this out. In some other regions, we did have a lot of heal battles coming in.
Yes.
But from the previous experience of this region, Pakistan, we don't see a lot of heal battles from either of the teams because they love to go in with their guns blazing. They love to get those frags early on. And even in the final zones, we really don't see a lot of snakes hiding in those bushes of Erangel or maybe Sanhok as well. So this is
Exactly.
something I love about this region, Pakistan. They're all up for skill. They're all up for fights. They don't like to hide a lot. They don't like to take those heal battles and try to finish the game without even engaging into a battle. So here maybe that situation of chickening out might not come into play very early on. But yeah, I mean, winner chicken dinner, that has to be there for a reason.
Absolutely. And well, when you talked about how they do not invest in healing a lot, it just reminded me
Uh-huh.
of a quote that I read really, really long time ago.
Okay.
It was a doctor said it, and he said that
Hmm.
one of the best ways to save a few lives is to take some. And I was
Oh,
like, I guess that's the
yep.
philosophy they believe in.
Uh-huh.
And that is why
That is
they,
true.
they go all the way in, like military grade doctors just going in for the fights and making sure that the opponents are not alive for a long time. However, here we are. These are the teams we have with us. That's a huge number of teams. And I am again, so I don't know, call me biased or anything. I have
Hmm.
very high expectations for Egon X I and they have come up to be the first team of the first group. So four back-to-back matches of this team without fail every single day. I am excited for that.
I hate a team that believes in getting inside the compound and emptying it within 30 seconds.
True.
I've seen some of their games. They
Hmm.
love to barge in. They love to use those nades perfectly, and sometimes even flashes as well. I mean,
Hmm.
flashes are very underrated in some lobbies, but
Yeah,
here I8 they love to utilize it. So I'd like to
absolutely.
see I8 again play today. They have Team Star, Grounders, Faulty Devils in their group to compete against. Whereas in Group B, Team QWERTY, H2E, North Esports, and 3X Esports. We will see some interesting things once we get to the roster reveal for all of these things. We will see some new faces in different teams which you're not expecting. But other than that,
Absolutely.
Group C, Quantum Rage, Freestyle, XGeneration, Team Negatives, all these three groups, they're packed with firepower.
Absolutely, and as I've heard from other casters in the early stages as well, I guess the other groups are not lagging behind at all either. I've heard
Okay.
really great things for BABLU, and really
Mm-hmm.
great things for Magnus Esports as well. 52 Esports also performed really well. So I guess all of the teams that are coming in here, obviously they're coming in for a reason. We have 12 invited teams and then 8 qualified teams. So all of them are coming in with a lot of metal to prove, and I guess
Mm-hmm.
that is exactly what will set them apart once the match starts. Like, this is something I cannot wait for. To be very honest, inside of me there's a tiny little voice which is screaming at the top of its lungs, being like, I want to see the match, I want to see it right now, happen right now.
Oh, trust me, I do have the same feeling. But we'll jump into the game very, very shortly. But I'm more excited to see. See, this is not something
Yeah.
people are very excited to see about, but I'd like to see the four teams that will be eliminated overall,
Oh,
that won't make it to the grand finals. Because
thi-
when you look at it at a perspective, now, Hannah, come to my perspective, I'll say, when you look at it at a perspective that there are 20 teams, 16 have to qualify for the grand finals, obviously. How hard is it going to be the players from those four teams which do not qualify? Because again, the failure ratio here is very, very tiny.
I see you're one of those people who derives their entertainment from the
Maybe.
depreciation of the other people. This is not fair. This is not fair at all. I must stay away from you, friends. Just remind me
Okay.
not to be very close to you, because you might just be like, Anna is falling down. She might hurt herself. That is very interesting.
I mean, okay, call me negative all you want, but I have been there, the team not to qualify in indefinitely tier 3 tournaments.
Oh,
But I know the feeling. I know the feeling,
I
so I
get
don't
it.
want any other team to feel the same. But then again, four teams are going to go through that particular stage. But here we are with the rosters as well.
Yep,
Agni Ignex I8, we have Falak in their roster.
absolutely.
This may be huge or
It
maybe a
is.
very big blunder if Falak is not able to gel up properly on time for I8.
Absolutely. I'm hoping for it to be a huge plus point for them, because again, Falak was the MVP in fall 2022, and I have
Mm-hmm.
great expectations from him. However, he was a part of Team QWERTY that time. He has shifted to I8, and I8 overall was the team that won in fall 2022. So I guess
Yes.
I am having really high hopes for I8 right now. Call me
Okay.
optimistic, call me rigid, call me anything, but yeah, if they do not perform, I am gonna be very upset. I'm gonna be like despicably depressed about that.
Okay. Oh, talking about the other teams as well. 141 official Reggie side. Again, I've heard a lot about Team BABLU as well. Some time ago, they were called the Kings of Miramar. Not the
Yeah.
previous few PMPL seasons, but even before that, Team BABLU, they were known as the Miramar Kings. That throne has been taken away from, I think, by 52 Esports, is what I've been hearing. That
Hmm.
they play Miramar very efficiently, very flawlessly as well. So, Team BABLU, a team to look out for. Teen Wolf reuse, I think, reviews. I don't know how to pronounce that.
It's
Pikachu
alright.
as well in that particular team. But yeah, I mean, altogether, 52 Esports is another one of those teams which I'd love to see perform.
Absolutely. And well, coming on to the next one, Team Star is again one team that takes a very far away, drop location. They go all the way to Siberni, which is like all the way up top north. But
Mhm.
let's see what their gameplay looks like if they go for the Erangel match today. Because again, I am excited to see how these teams are going to be changing their drop locations, how they're going to be, taking those initial fights and capitalizing on them. Because again, anytime you have a drop fight, there's two
Hmm.
teams and one wins, one loses. And the drop fight losing teams, neither do they have kill points nor do they have placement points. It's very heartbreaking.
Especially if there is mutual casualty on both sides as well. So
Yeah,
even if a team comes out on top with say like two or three players overall, that I won't count that as a win in my books until unless it's a
true.
flawless fight for yourself. If you're able to get all of your four players back into action, that is something we can work with. But even if one of your player is completely finished off, that will definitely leave a scar and maybe even change the way you play the whole game after that. So this is something
Absolutely.
I'd like to see. How does Pakistan adapt to that? I mean, with three players, if they're left with three players, do they still look for some fight? Do they still saw some fights or not? Because mutually, I've heard that some of the teams they like to take that early fight, but once they've got that 4 points in the bag, they just love to play it passive. They like to wait out for the zones to come in. Once they have an advantage into a particular fight, they get that first knock. That is when they try and get into that particular area or compound or whatever the region is. But yes, I'd like to see all of these teams in action. We do also have Magnus Esports. I mean, Zibian, I'm a huge fan of this particular player, and I really have high hopes for Magnus Esports as well. Not on top, but yeah, I mean, somewhere on the podium.
Well, absolutely. However, I do hear that X Generation and Seventh Elements are also great teams that have come up, and they have been the ones that have qualified. So they've played before, and that's how they got their spots here. So it's one of the very big things that starts during the early days of the tournament. You don't have
Hmm.
specific teams that you have to be aware of, but it definitely becomes a qualified versus invitational fight altogether, where teams are like, you know what, we want to prove why we are here, and like how
Okay.
difficult it was to get here, and how much work and effort we put in, how much bragging rights we are carrying with ourselves, and both the sides equally contribute to that. So I really want to see how these teams go ahead and capitalize on their position right now, because early days generally it's a much more silent fight where you're trying to read the opponents,
Hmm.
dip your toes and find out how hot the water is. And I mean, in that position, you generally do make it invitational versus qualifieds.
That is true because sometimes the qualified teams you haven't seen them play a lot. The
Exactly.
other 12 teams they might have a read on each other's game. They might know where the other one is going to drop. How do they play? If you're getting a knock on a weaker player, you might refrain from pushing in. But if the entry fragger is down for your opponent, you might just push in just by seeing the names. So that is
Right.
something these 12 teams might know about each other. But then again, the surprise factor is with the underdogs. The surprise factor is
Absolutely.
with the qualified teams. So and I'm not sure if they've been scrimming together or not, because scrims again give you a rough idea about your opponent. Not sure if the scrims have been happening or not, but if they aren't, but or if some team is strategically not playing them, a qualified team, I'm 100% with them. I'd like to see some performance in day number one. I mean, one or two games you're not able to perform, that is acceptable, that is completely fine. But after game number three, really you start counting the games left rather than the games that you've played.
Absolutely. You have to be on a reverse countdown all through in this tournament, because, again, as we were talking earlier, this is not gonna be a new slate once you walk into the finals. It's a whole long story that you're carrying around with you. This is like karma. You're carrying it with you. Whatever you've done in the past is gonna follow you
Uh-huh.
all the way to your finals, and you really need to be sure that you're doing it right. However, I see a name in HellRaisers, next MVP. Are you gonna be the next MVP? I am curious.
If he plays with this particular name, maybe the positive thinking, the positive attitude is with the side of Hellraisers is what I'll say. But let's see. Next MVP, I mean, the player, Falak, he's definitely going to have an eye on you, my friend. But yeah, team negatives, Buzzet, Pinkman, Shahi, Zero, Lukai, the fifth player. I'm not sure what the playing for is going to be for team negatives, but I think I do know Pinkman. If he's a sniper, I do know him. If not, then I am not familiar with their player because I've seen some montages on Instagram. If he's
What
able
if
to hit
he
those crazy shots, I'd be just dumbstruck.
What if he is the sniper, but he doesn't play it yet because he's like, I'ma save my tactics for the
Oh,
last few days?
but maybe if he doesn't qualify, ends up being
Oh,
in
that's
the last four teams. I mean, saving a strategy, not even
okay.
qualifying would look very very dumb on stream.
It's very weird because you're talking negative and you're talking it about team negatives. It's
Oh,
just.
I did not know. I Thanks for pointing it out. Thanks for pointing it out.
Well, on this one, I can give you a pass because, again, the name is
Oh,
team
okay.
negatives, so I
Hmm.
guess you get the right to call them. I don't think you still get the right to call them. Now that I
Okay,
rethink this,
maybe. Uh,
no, No.
I'm not calling about the whole team. I'm just talking about Pinkman in that particular situation, right? Come on, Hana, give me a pass over here. I know that I've been a little bit negative for the 4 teams which will be eliminated in the very early stages, but then again they'll have another season. They'll have the fall season to work upon themselves, get back into the game. But again, I'm getting too ahead of myself. The first game is not even done, and we're talking about
Exactly.
elimination. Okay,
Exactly.
I'll stop talking about
Thanks.
elimination right now. But focusing on the positive, Magnus
Yes.
I8. This is a fight I'd like to see in the very first game if it can happen.
Absolutely. I am very excited about the fight that's going to happen for Team BABLU, because if the flight path
Mhm.
is correct enough, we might see Team BABLU going all the way
Okay.
to Georgiapur, and they generally have really interesting, initial clashes there. However, initial clashes, I guess, they are not as much about the team game as it is about your luck factor, because the better weapon you get, the better
Mhm.
chances you have at survival and then in those points. But then again, I guess comfort picks, once you get them, you get comfortable with the loadout you're having, the loadout you're going to be running with. That's when you see the actual skill come into play. However, drop clashes are still an interesting watch nonetheless.
Hey, I'd say drop clashes is 60% luck, but 40% skill. I've seen teams like pulling off fights with better teamwork rather than a team with better weapons. I've seen a lot of those fights, especially around the containers region. I know there won't be a lot of drop clashes around Georgiapol
Yeah,
containers or even in Novarapanoy, but these are the two favorite regions I love to go whenever I play the game. So I do have a special place for these areas in my heart, and I know how important teamwork could be, even with pistols. I mean, Desert Eagle as a weapon can two tap with a person without a shield. So that is
absolutely.
something. If you can call the shots, if you can call those peaks properly with your teammate, communicate them properly, use that util perfectly, you can still outfrag a person with an M4. Is what I feel. So here the teamwork comes into play. Sometimes it happens that you're even eliminated in parachutes. That is just you're just pure unlucky at that particular point of time. But other than that, I mean, dropping right on top of an opponent sometimes might work, sometimes might not. But then we do see a little bit of distance between the two. If someone targets the southern side of Georgiapol containers, we do see 2 or 3 container gap between the two teams, because they like to just juggle weapons between them if they get knocked out, and then they do still have time to get that counter knock and relieve the pressure in fights. So we usually see drop clashes, yeah, but not completely on top of each other. But if that happens, I mean, I'm all up for it.
Absolutely. And I mean, come on, who doesn't want drop clashes? And again,
Uh-huh.
talking about the parachute drop thing that you just talked about, if I was in a parachute and I was getting attacked, I would be like, I need another mechanic in this game that lets me like throw my
Uh-huh.
shoes onto the person who's shooting me. I
Oh,
will
okay.
still lose the fight, but I will at
Mhm.
least take it before I leave. I will be like, oh, push, push. There's my slipper, there's my saddle.
At
There you
least
go.
humiliating your opponent before dying, huh?
Exactly. Why not?
Okay. Okay, I do agree to some extent, not
Why
on the
only
part where
some
you throw the shoes. No, I am a player which plays without shoes. Then what? I don't equip my shoes in that. Then I throw my clothes. Come on,
when
that's
you
not happening. That's not happening in the game. Come on.
your
I
clothes
can
are not gonna
expect.
hurt anyone anyways.
Oh, okay. That's also true. But I mean, in parachute, you should be invulnerable. Is what I feel. At least let the person drop. At least let him have a fighting chance. Is what I feel. But then again, it's another matter altogether. This rarely happens because we don't see a lot
True.
of floating people in the air. After you have what, a 800-meter drop, you won't see a lot of floating people in the air, until
Absolutely.
unless it's for a vehicle. A vehicular clash is where we see a lot of people in the air waiting for the vehicle. If your teammate gets that vehicle, you try to drop right on top of it and get in, and then try to rotate off. And if sometimes your opponent gets it, you still try to buy some time while you're in the air, find a compound, find a shack nearby to take shelter. But yeah, this is
Absolutely.
something we'll see in very short span of time, guys. We'll be jumping into game number 1 very shortly, but before that, we'll be throwing things off to a break. On the other side, we'll see you with the game.
Welcome back everyone to PMPL Pakistan Spring Season 2023. I'm your host Anna and we are back after the tiny little break that we took. And मेरे साथ desk पर as like 15 minutes ago अभी तक जुड़े
Mhm.
हुए हैं Fritz. Cannot get rid of him.
Oh, you cannot for the whole season. I'll say, Hannah, you just cannot get rid of me. And I mean, I do like the way you said it. It's gonna be an interesting season. I'll make sure I'll trouble you a lot. But yeah, that being said, we're just few minutes away from jumping into the very first game, and we'll see how the game number one goes. I8 versus even Team Magnus. I'd say not even just 52. Team Magnus as well. They've changed their names, but the players are still the same. So I'd love to see that fight as well. I mean, any team, any aggressive team against I8, that is the fight I would love to see in the map of Erangel.
Absolutely, and we are very soon gonna be diving into it. But then again, coming back to the conversation we were having like a little bit
Mhm.
earlier, it's
Okay.
very off topic, but it's very interesting at the same time. Fritz,
Okay. Uh-huh.
you told me you're one of the players who doesn't wear shoes.
In
And
game.
we were talking in game, yeah,
Yeah.
obviously in game.
Uh-huh.
And
I
we
just
were
wanted
talking
to
about
clarify. Uh-huh.
how to fight
Uh-huh.
while in the parachute. Being
Yes.
invulnerable, no, that's not good, because then again,
Okay,
you being
accepted.
late to jump is not nobody's fault.
Accepted.
So tell me, how would you want to fight at that point? Hypothetically, I am throwing sandals.
Okay.
What's your go-to
Mhm.
move for that?
You're throwing sandals, I'll take cover. First I laugh, not even take cover. First I laugh. What is this guy doing right now? He's in the air trying to throw some sandals on me. That would be my first reaction. I laugh, maybe take a bonk on my head, and then just shoot you right out of the air. That's what I'll
Okay.
do. Because then
Oh.
again, you said it yourself, the sandals won't do a lot of damage. So you're not knocking
Yeah,
out
they
a player
won't.
on the ground.
But
So,
you will have
okay.
a cute pair of footwear because I wear nice footwear.
But I don't need them. I don't. It's a survival game based on an island. I mean, sometime or the
Okay.
other you'll need to get rid of those shoes. Say for example, you go to take some water out of the sea. They get wet. You'll have to remove them essentially, and then you get fired upon as well. So what? You'll ask them to wait and let your shoes dry off, or will you fight it without the shoes? Tell me, Hannah.
I mean, yeah, I'll have to fight it without the shoes.
Uh-huh.
But I'll
So-
have
so-
great
oh.
fancy guns.
Okay, that
And
that
I'll
I
have
agree
backup
upon.
shoes.
Oh yeah, you will definitely have some teammates as well. You get that point there. But yeah, still, sandals not an option. Throwing them off not an option at all. I mean that is just ridiculous. But it's a good situation. It's a good hypothetical situation
I have
to
a
say the
question
least.
for production. Is throwing him off an option?
No, that you cannot. That is not even in the hands of production. I'd say. I mean, they can definitely mute me here. Other than that, I don't think so. They have a good say
No,
in
we
it.
love you.
But
We love you,
okay,
Fritz. We
my
don't want you
first
to
day
be
and you
muted.
started to bully me, huh? My first day and you started to bully me. I like
See,
it.
that's just me welcoming you, okay? I'm a
Oh, okay,
person who
okay.
does that. And I am excited to see which teams do that as well. Like, just
Okay,
bully
that's
other
true.
teams and then be like, oh, that was just a way of welcoming you. We were
Ah.
just showering a few bullets for you to get used to the whole atmosphere.
Now you say that. Now I really want the qualified teams to get at least the first two games in their favor. Now you say this, I shift things up a bit. I want the qualified teams to perform a bit better. That's my personal choice. And I know, I mean, beating I8 overall in the whole tournament is not going to be easy at all. I mean, they're the consistency kings, is what I've seen in the previous season. Even the season prior to it, they, I think, finished out third or something like that, Team I8. Not exactly sure, don't quote me on that. I'll have to check my facts. But they were very consistent. I mean, they played a very good game and they were very consistent. Seen them on global stage as well. They do have a very good lineup. Their sniper works perfectly. The entry fragger, I mean, he's just a person who has a target and does not see either left or right. He just barges into his opponent, and having that sort of confidence while you're in game is something that really sometimes wins you the fight that you have no business winning. Standing in a Molotov,
Absolutely.
trying to fight it against two players, you get the 4 headshots if you're confident enough. But if you try to hide, try to find a corner to be safe from that particular Molotov, then you just get rushed down by the remaining two players. So this is a situation, I think, where confidence matters a lot. And Team I8 have a team completely full of confidence. So this is something I think I8 will have an advantage in the opening game. But that's
Not
about it.
gonna
If they don't win the opening game, then that confidence is going to be with the team that comes out on top. and especially if that's a qualified team. I mean, this could really be the beginning of a very, very interesting career for the players of those particular team.
I'm not gonna deny that at all. Not gonna counter you there. And again, like talking about the confidence, I
Uh-huh.
do remember a recent tournament that I was at, like that I was watching.
Okay.
There's a lot of confidence that comes in once the audience is with you. And
Hmm.
trust me, like yesterday, it was like 27 hours still remaining for the stream to go live. I was just checking YouTube. I went to the stream, and there
Okay.
were chats already coming in. People were
Hmm.
literally spamming I8 27 hours before the tournament even
Uh-huh.
began. Like this
Uh-huh.
is the first day. Even before this, there were people who were going on spamming I8, and I was like, okay, that's quite some fandom. And this was, if this was to be a LAN,
All right.
I think the whole
Yes.
stadium would be shouting I8 all through.
That fifth player in game would be the audience, just pressuring the teams fighting against them. That
Yes,
happens in the LAN environment. Trust me, I've been there. I've seen
absolutely.
teams, just being crushed because of the crowd cheering your opponent team. That has happened a lot in multiple different titles in PUBG Mobile as well. So I'm really looking forward for those days to come back. I mean, LAN is something I'd love to have, but right now in an online environment where you still have the love from the audience online, it's just not in the form of voices but in the form of text. I mean, I8 in terms of fans, they're completely set, is what I think.
Absolutely. And well, now that we have been talking about one single team all through since the time we came
Hmm.
in, I guess we should take another break and brush up
Okay.
ourselves on the other teams as well so that we do not
Hmm.
look biased. So we're just going to take another break, brush up our knowledges, and get back to you guys. Don't go anywhere. This is going to be really exciting. The more the wait, the better the game. So see you in a while. Welcome back, everyone, to PMPL Pakistan 2023 spring season. I'm your host, Anna, and with me joined here is Fritz. And we hate to be the bearers of this news, but today's games of PUBG Mobile Pro League Pakistan will be cancelled due to the earthquakes. And keeping in mind the safety of the staff and the players, the matches will be resumed soon as the situation allows. However, the updated schedules will be displayed on our social media channels. But until then, we need you to stay safe, and we really appreciate the understanding coming in from your side, because this is a very grave situation, and all of our prayers stay with all the players and the people going through all these calamities. May they all be safe.
That's true. I mean, player safety is something we're very much concerned about, and that
Yes,
is the reason this decision has been taken. And I hope every player, each and every player, is safe and sound. I mean, on the other hand, I would love to see them play, right? So I
absolutely.
want them to be as safe as possible. We all want them to be as safe as possible. So keeping in mind those things, the games for today have been cancelled, and as Ahana said, all the schedules will be updated on our social media. So do not forget to follow them so that you are updated and you will be able to watch the matches.
Absolutely. We will have all the matches coming in again, but then before that, we do need to make sure that everyone is in a good position to be able to go ahead and actually, take part into this
Mhm.
competition without any leeways or any disruptions going on their side. However, that is it for today. We hope to see you soon, and we'll pray for everyone to be in a very good condition by the time we come back. So, see you next time.